If you are a millennial, a 90s baby, did you read this book? I need to know. And if you did read it, I need to know how you're feeling seeing it now. I read this book or had it read to me as a child, and then it resurfaced. I think this might actually be my husband's book, my husband's copy that we got from his parents' house. I My kids love this book. I love to read it to them, and I was flipping through it at some point, just remembering how much I love these illustrations and how much these illustrations imprinted into my mind as a child. And I was kind of looking at the pictures and thinking, my life now kind of looks like what's in this book. We are currently building an 800 square foot house, and this cozy little cabin, I mean, we literally have dried onions and garlic hanging in our pantry right now. The a wood burning stove furnace is definitely going in our new house. They have 10 in the bed, we have 5 in bed, and technically 2 beds, but we all share a room, and we will be sharing a room as far as I can see at this point. The midnight snack at the kitchen table with the milk and the bread. I mean, that's this is this is my life. And as a parent now, this is just a really good reminder for me that we introduce ideas to our children with everything that we do. Our thoughts, our word, our actions, the books we read, our children are our reflections. And in their earliest years, they rely very much on us to provide them their initial foundations for being a person, for being human. Parenthood has been one of the greatest accountability checks for me. Once you make that conscious decision to see and to listen, there's no filter. Your kids are going to give it back to you straight. And they are creative beings of their own. So the messaging that we give them, they will expand on those messages to the extent of their own creativity and design. And then it's up to us to decide if what they're showing back to us is, if what they're reflecting is what we are wanting whenever we are creating our lives and creating lives for our family. My husband and I have been discussing story and myth a lot lately, and uh, we think, I believe that our culture is starved for story and myth, our dominant American culture. The vast majority of us are deprived of our link to our heritage. So many of us are so melted that we bear no resemblance to an ancestor who would provide that link to heritage. So we have lost the stories that once would have been told to us from childhood that were meant to provide a framework for living a human life. And so what can we do with that? We have lost our indigenous stories, and we are starved for them. And that is why it's so easy for us to go shopping for a story that the culture has produced. We have a plethora of stories to choose from. You might go to Netflix or to the news, to any sort of media, to social media, to AI. We have left the old stories behind as if they have no meaning for us, as if stories were just a trivial component of childhood. And many of us are outsourcing storytelling to our children, even to all of those media entities as well. An example that's coming to my mind right now is first of all, my parents did a really good job, in my opinion, of showing me or keeping me from older than age appropriate media consumption. Even still, even with that, how many episodes of MTV Cribs have I seen in my lifetime, in my adolescence? I will tell you right now that whatever the number is, it's probably too many. So if I watched too many episodes of MTV Cribs growing up, I'm going to say that millennials on the whole, as an average, probably watched too many episodes of MTV Cribs. And now, 20 years later, the social media content that you will find of millennials and older, younger, showing their closets that can sleep 5 people, pantries that are custom made to organize approximately 2,700 Stanley Cups. We are living out the values that were given to us by MTV. And I have a problem with that. And, my problem is not with the closets and with the Stanleys and the pantries and the cabinetry, but the fact that we were told stories that are not tapestries that convey the essential truths of life passed on by our ancestors, but stories that were created behind closed doors in a boardroom by an industry that capitalizes and thrives on child predation and scarcity and overconsumption. We were taught consumption and consumerism without consequence, and now our lives are built on mindless materialism. Maybe if there was literally anything that said that having more stuff, more things, more money meant more happiness and health and longevity, that this foundation of materialism wouldn't be so bad. But the data isn't there. And I really, I don't need data to tell me what makes me happy and whole. Anyway, I think that we right now have been given a task to be conscious of the stories that we select for ourselves and then transmit to our children. I think that we underestimate the power of micro messages, the power of our thoughts, words, and actions of anything we consume. And I think that we're not even aware of what the lack of conscious, generational, ancient stories has done for our connection to the earth and to each other. What if we were to get really intentional about the stories that we allow into our lives? What if we return to the old stories, the stories that teach us about love and consequences, and the absolute miraculous, God given gift that we have received to be alive on this earth? I think that it might be worth it to re immerse ourselves in a life imbued with story, even if it may be a little uncomfortable when we come up on some hard truths or some alarming reflections. If you're still here, I so greatly appreciate your time. And thank you so much for watching. As always, I'd love to discuss your thoughts, your observations, your reflections in the comments. Thanks.